This is a story from the old times. A small village was located a few miles away from the city of Basra, where an old man was spending his last days of life. He had seen 80 springs of his life. This old man had spent his entire life in poverty. And when his time of death approached, he had 3 gold coins with him. This old man had only one son named Musa. He called his son close and began to express his last wish before him. He told his son, "I am not leaving you much wealth, but I have 3 gold coins. My will is that you do not spend these 3 coins, but instead go to a wise advice seller and give him these coins, and buy his advice. And whatever advice he gives you, follow it." Musa listened carefully to his father's will and nodded in confirmation. A few days later, the old man passed away. After his father's death, Musa remained sad for a few days. Then, when his grief subsided a little, he started thinking that he should follow his father's wishes. So he took out the 3 gold coins from his father's old chest and went to the advice seller. He was sitting in a cave. His face bore wrinkles that reflected years of experience. Musa said to him, "I have some gold coins. If you give me 1 piece of advice, I will give you 1 gold coin." The advice seller took a gold coin from Musa and said, "Whenever winter comes and black clouds cover the sky, do not go outside your house, no matter what happens." After giving this small piece of advice, the old man fell silent. Musa thought to himself, "For 1 gold coin, he gave me this small piece of advice. It's a common thing." Then he started thinking, "Now I will take another advice from him. Maybe he will give me some useful advice." Then the Musa said to the advice seller, "I have 2 more coins. Give me some good advice." He took both coins and handed them to the Musa. The old man, taking the coins, said, "Whenever you see someone selling parrots, goats, or dogs, buy them immediately, no matter what their price is. Take good care of them." Then he started giving the 3rd piece of advice. "Whatever happens, never tell anyone your secret, and do not let any wandering woman enter your house." As soon as he gave this advice, he fell completely silent. Musa had already handed over his 3 gold coins to this old man, so he had nothing left. He got up and headed home. Time kept passing. One day, Musa decided to go to another city with his friends for business. There was a very difficult and dangerous mountain along their route. On the scheduled day, Musa's friends arrived and asked about the journey. Musa looked up at the sky, saw a patch of dark clouds, and said to himself, "I have bought advice with 3 gold coins, and it seems it's time to follow it." He told his friends, "I think we should not leave today and wait for better weather. Maybe tomorrow the weather will improve. We will leave tomorrow." But his companions said, "The weather is perfectly fine now. If you want to come with us, come, otherwise, we will leave you and go alone." Musa replied, "All right, you go. I will not travel today. If you're in a hurry, you can go." His friends started mocking him as a coward and said, "Fine, go home and wear bangles." Saying that, his 2 friends set out for the journey. As they reached the dangerous peak of the mountain, suddenly the weather turned bad. Lightning flashed across the sky, and a snowstorm suddenly struck. Both friends got lost and were caught in the dangerous storm. They tried very hard to save themselves, but the storm overwhelmed them and they both died instantly. The next day, the sky cleared completely. Musa saw that the weather was perfect, so he started his journey towards the mountain. When he reached the top, he saw that his 2 friends had died in the snowstorm. He went near them and examined them. He noticed that in their pockets were bags full of dinars. When he counted the dinars, there were 300 in total. He took the money and continued his journey. On the way, Musa thought that the first advice of the advice seller proved to be true and had helped him. If he had not followed his father's will and not bought advice from the advice seller, perhaps he would have lost his life in the storm too. But not only did he reach his destination safely, But he also found 300 dinars lying there, worth the 3 gold coins he had spent. When he reached the market, he did some business and then returned home. A few days later, he reached the markets of Baghdad. There he saw a man selling a parrot, a goat, and a dog. Seeing this, Musa immediately remembered the advice of the advice seller. He went straight to that stranger and asked, "Brother, what is the price of these 3?" The stranger said, "I will take 300 dinars for all 3. The people standing in the market said, "Brother, what is the price of just these 3? Hearing this, the people in the market started laughing and said, "A parrot, a goat, and a dog for 300 dinars? You've been sitting like this ever since, and no one is buying anything from you." Hearing this, Musa quickly handed over the bag of 300 dinars and bought all 3 animals, bringing them home. When he reached home, he started thinking, "Now what should I do with them? My father has also left this world. My friends have also died in the storm, and I've bought these animals with the money I had. Their condition is very bad now. What should I do? Sell them, slaughter the goat and eat it, keep the dog for guarding, and talk to the parrot?" He was lost in these thoughts all day. At night, he fell asleep. In his dream, he saw a huge treasure lying in a cave, and he was wandering barefoot in the mountains searching for that cave. When Musa woke up, he kept thinking about that dream. He couldn't tell if it was true or false, but he decided that since he was idle at home anyway, he might as well find that cave. He immediately got up and started searching for the cave. He wandered all day in the mountains but couldn't find it. So he cut some grass, hunted a game with his bow and arrow, and returned home. When he got home, he put the grass in front of the goat and gave some raw meat from the hunted animal to the dog and ate some himself. He also gave some millet to the parrot. This became his daily routine, searching for the cave all day, hunting in the evening, and returning home with grass and food. He spent quite some time doing this but faced failure every time. One day, while sitting at home, his mind recalled the advice of the advice seller. He thought maybe he should go back to him once again. Perhaps he could help him. He immediately reached the advice seller and narrated his dream, asking for advice. But the advice seller gave him no advice, only said, "The advice I gave you is enough for you. Live your life by following it. No matter what the circumstances, never lose courage." Having said this, the old man fell silent, and Musa left from there. Musa returned home. When he reached home, he saw that the parrot had escaped from its cage and flown away, and the goat, seeing this, started chasing it, and both went far away. Musa was very worried after seeing the parrot and goat missing. But since it was night, he decided to search for them the next morning. He kept thinking all night that his dream had not benefited him, and he wandered behind it but didn't find any treasure. Meanwhile, his parrot and goat had both left his hands. When morning came, Musa took his dog and went to look for the parrot and goat. Musa saw that his dog was very clever. It sniffed the path where the goat was going and headed towards the mountains. Musa followed it. The dog reached a strange mountain trail and stopped in front of a cave. Musa, seeing this cave, was shocked because it was the same cave he had seen in his dream. When he entered, he found not only the parrot and goat but also a skeleton of a man and a chest nearby. Musa opened the chest, and it was filled with treasures. It looked like the man was its owner and was carrying his wealth, but for some reason he had lost his life. Now Musa had become the owner of that treasure. He took his animals and the chest and returned home. Within a few days, his circumstances began to change. He took some of the treasure and built a house for himself. His father had already passed away, and he had no friends. Besides the animals, he had no one. So he decided he should get married. Musa liked another woman, and he married her. After marriage, Musa started living happily. Musa had already followed 2 of the 3 advice. But the 3rd advice was still to be tested. Some time passed. One day, Musa's wife asked him, "Musa, You haven't told me how your circumstances changed? Before marriage, you were very poor. But suddenly, you have so much wealth. Where did it come from? What is the secret you've been hiding from me all this time?" Because Musa was committed to his advice, he always avoided answering his wife's questions. But finally, he couldn't resist her beautiful questions, and he decided to tell her everything, the dream and the treasure. Hearing this, she was astonished. Time kept passing. Coincidentally, a cunning old woman came to the village, who was very clever and the leader of a gang of swindlers. She also learned about Musa's wealth. She had her eyes on his treasure. The cunning woman disguised herself as a pious and noble lady, and when Musa was not at home, she knocked on the door. When Musa's wife opened the door, she started acting like a righteous and virtuous woman. Musa's wife, being very kind and trusting, believed her stories. She let her inside and began to serve her. Now, this cunning old woman made it her habit that whenever Musa was away, she would go to his wife and gain her trust with sweet words and get her to reveal the secret of the treasure. This was the empire for which the old woman was pretending to be a noble and virtuous lady, wandering all over Baghdad. As soon as she learned where the treasure was hidden, she conspired with her gang and took the treasure away, disappearing with it. A few days later, Musa told his wife that they should sell the remaining treasure and use the money to start a business because sitting idle would only deplete their wealth. When he and his wife reached the room where the treasure was hidden, his feet seemed to slip from beneath him. The chest filled with treasure was gone. He searched the entire room, but the chest was nowhere to be found. How could it be? Because the cunning old woman and her gang had already taken the treasure away from there. In despair, Musa angrily asked his wife, "Did any outsider woman come to our house?" His wife, trembling, narrated the whole incident. Musa immediately remembered the last advice of the old man, that never let a wandering woman enter your house. Suddenly, he realized he hadn't followed that advice. His face was full of regret. He sat down, holding his head, and said sadly, "If only I had followed that old man's advice, I wouldn't have to face this day." Then he suddenly remembered that the last time he had gone to the advice seller, he had said, "Never lose courage and keep learning from your decisions." Musa realized and learned a lesson why his father had given him that advice. In this life, there are more valuable lessons than wealth. Despite losing the treasure chest, Musa understood that the true strength of a person lies in wisdom and following good advice. Musa decided that now he would work hard and rebuild his life by following the advice he had received. And he did exactly that. He worked diligently, followed the advice, and one day, he became known as a successful merchant in Baghdad's markets. Dear friends, I hope you enjoyed today's story very much. If you liked it, please like the story, be sure to share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, goodbye.